Something that I've just realised I forgot to address was the so Rebecca Goldstein brought up how talking about moral realism, and how it's possible for groups of people to be wrong. So taking the Nazis, for example, they were just wrong, morally wrong, right? And this seems to obviously counter my speech about how evolution, would or could influence our subjective experience, our individual subjective experiences, and select for things which. So how would it's not hard to imagine that there were some Nazis who had pretty good subjective experiences which felt good, felt good despite the content of what made them feel good. So they might have been murdering Jews for a living, but they still were happy and stuff like that. So you can be deluded about what matters, even though it matters to you. So you're not deluded about that, but about what would matter to evolution, right? Well, it's sort of in favour because the Nazis aren't really so much around anymore. So it's kind of, I guess, maybe this is what group selection is. So maybe there were a group that didn't get selected. So the non-Nazi group got selected over the Nazi group because it's a better group evolutionarily. Anyway, I don't care about whether that's true or not, whatever. But the individual Nazis were allowed to feel that way because of the society around them giving them signals which allowed them to receive the intrinsic rewards from their own minds. So they killed Jews, and they were told by their peers that it was good to kill Jews and that they were fine and doing the right thing and everything. So they were still able to have that subjective experience. Oh, God. So yeah, the mattering thing. It's like an interplay between your intrinsic reward systems and also your intrinsic kind of goals, and well, that's all your reward system. It's all part of the reward system. Anyway, and the extrinsic social norms and stigmas and pressures and forces and all those things, just interactions with other beings that affect your subjective experience about whether you matter or not. I lost it again. So yeah, the evolutionary aspect is kind of secondary to the interplay of the possible group selective aspects of evolution are secondary to the individual evolutionary aspects, right? It just seems like a follow-on, not subsequent, subsequence of evolutionary theory. I don't see how it's just the way that the genes at the individual it's just the way the genes at the individual level manifest themselves, how they're going to, the patterns that will arise because of the patterns at the individual level. So the patterns at the societal level that will arise due to the selections that occur at the individual level, right? That's all it is. That's all I'm getting at. So yeah, it's possible to have entire groups which are wrong. And for the individuals within those groups, despite it being wrong, to feel that it's right. Also, it's interesting to question. I don't really want to say that I'm questioning moral realism all that much, because I think the only claim you need to make the only assumption you have to make for moral, and it's not an assumption, it seems pretty plain to me. The only thing you have to accept is that there is one, just like I say, there is one subjective experience which would be better than all the others. There is one moral way of existing for all. There is one way for all beings that could exist or that exist in the universe to interact with one another that would be best for each individual being in the universe at the same time for the longest time, right? And whatever that is, whatever that way to behave for each. So the moral code would have to be diverse enough, so it could be infinitely diverse. So it's it tells each individual exactly how they have to behave. Right. Anyway, and they have to be sufficiently intelligent to understand it at whatever level they should be, their role is in it. Anyway, God. So I believe that's more realism is real in that sense. But then if the Nazis had won, right, and killed everyone that isn't a Nazi, right, if the world was only populated by Nazis, then it might be that because they make up the entirety of the universe, then their moral code, the moral realistic code, which would that could exist then, because the one that would satisfy every conscious being in the future from now on, that would be a different future to the future that we're looking at now, right? So their future would be tainted by the existence of them, and so the moral code that would ultimately be the real moral code of that universe would be a different one to ours, right? Jesus Christ. And it would be the correct one in that universe. But this could be the case if you had black supremacist, white supremacist, black supremacist, freaking metal supremacists, people who are completely insane. Well, obviously, black supremacists are probably... the black supremacists exist. Oh, God! It's so tangled up. Okay. It would be right in that universe, but obviously it's wrong in our universe, and it remains wrong in this universe. So I guess I'm not a moral realist in that I accept that the moral realist, the real moral, the one true moral code could change, or not could change because of determinism, but depends on the thing, right? Oh, fuck's sake. It's contingent upon the makeup of the universe, of the beings of the universe, right? Jesus Christ. Could I be more of a bumbling fool? God, my head's getting hot. Something else I wanted to tackle. Oh yeah, Pascal's wager, that got brought up again. Pisses me off every time. Oh, I believe in God. There we go, done it. Pascal's wager done, complete. It's just so fucking stupid. The obvious thing is, okay, so why wouldn't you behave as if God was real, right? Because you might as well, because if you didn't, then you'll be paying the price. Well, if you do, you're paying the price now, okay? So you're basically, Pascal's wager says you should give up the actual life that you know to be real for the potential life that might be real. But obviously, religious people say, "Oh, I like being religious." So if you like being religious, then yeah, do it. But if you don't, I'm just saying that being a religious person, for me, I would hate it more. It wouldn't be it would impact my existence to suddenly change to being a religious person, and it would make it worse. So it would be an actual wager. I'd have to put something in now, right? God, if it made no difference to my current existence, then obviously it would be better to take that wager. But seeing as I have to put in my own existence money, it costs me something to make that wager, and I'm betting that it's not true, and therefore not putting any money down, and I get to relish that money now in the existence I know to be real. Okay, well, let's go back to what I was doing. Moral realism. I've lost it again. So yeah, at the individual level. Come on. I'm just going to leave it there because I couldn't find what I was looking for in my head, in my brain. Bread. Head, brain, head, bread.